If I were to tell you that you're not listening to the right kind of music, would you believe me? What if I told you that the music you really should be listening to is from over 200 years ago? Classical music, while seemingly old and outdated, is actually more beneficial to its listeners than modern music. Classical music serves as the foundation for many of today's top hits. While current music is plagued by copyright infringement accusations, claiming bass lines, lyrics, and harmonic progressions are too similar to pre-existing songs, classical music remains consistently represented within modern music. If we take a closer look, much of today's music is actually quite similar to hits from the 17 and 1800s. Pachelbel's Canon in D is one of the most well-known classical pieces, and according to the New York Times, has become, quote, the wedding song. This 8-note harmonic progression is present in songs like Memories by Maroon 5 and Basket Case by Green Day. While this piece is released in the public domain, some could argue that the artists of these modern songs did not actually come up with original music, as they used the same chord progressions as a piece that already existed years before. Listening to pieces that are the foundation for a lot of today's popular music seems much less controversial than contemplating whether or not it is acceptable to listen to a song after a public legal battle. Classical music is more diverse than the genres of today. Using a larger variety of chord progressions and organization styles, classical music provides its listener with more than just a cookie-cutter sounding song that is reminiscent of many other songs. Classical pieces do not heavily stick to the short length and structured format that many songs use today. An example of this structure would be intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and bridge. Classical pieces are not constructed for the radio, nor are they constricted to the modern-day formula for songwriting. The emotions and stories these pieces aim to convey can be thoroughly done through hour-long concertos and suites, broken up into movements that are smaller pieces within the larger composition. Think of it like volumes in a book series. Without lyrics to aid the storytelling process, the story itself is very much up to the interpretation of the listener, making this music applicable to a wider audience. On a more practical note, listening to classical music while studying is proven to be more beneficial than modern music. Research from the publication Learning and Individual Differences found that students who listened to Mozart along with the lecture scored significantly higher on a multiple-choice questionnaire compared to students who only listened to the lecture. Classical music has also been proven to reduce stress levels and therefore make studying more enjoyable and more productive. Why wouldn't someone want to easily aid their constant stress simply by listening to classical music? The lack of lyrics in classical music also allows students to focus more on the content rather than get distracted by the words of the song. Oftentimes, listeners are too worried about selecting the right song or playlist that it takes time and attention away from the task at hand. Undivided attention is probably one of the most effective ways to study, and classical music satisfies the person's desire to both listen to music and decrease the number of distractions. Now, some may say that modern music is better because of how widely popular it is. In fact, according to Statistica, the top 3 genres of music in 2018 were hip-hop/rap, country, and pop, accounting for more than 50% of listeners. Classical music does not even reach the top 10 most popular genres in this study. However, just because something is more widely listened to or accepted by people does not inherently make it better. Today's artists consistently push out albums with the goal of winning awards and gaining more popularity. Composers of classical music were not writing for the approval of others or to maintain their reign within the industry. Their pieces are not only music, but meaningful art. Classical music is not only beneficial to the mind and body, but also to the imagination of the listener. Promoting creativity and productivity, classical music is one of the most relevant relics that the modern-day listener has yet to appreciate. Starting today, you could live a stress and controversy-free life simply by changing up your playlists.